Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show Special Prediction Show edition, because there's a pay-per-view right around the corner this Sunday. World Wrestling Entertainment presents Hell in a Cell, not the cell. It could be any old cell, but there's going to be hell in it regardless. And this is going to be Sunday, and we are Saturday morning, 11 a.m. on October the 5th. And when I say we, I do mean we, not only the wonderful people joining us live here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, where these shows are recorded live every single time. And when I mean beautiful, wonderful people, I mean wonderful people like Theodorus Palastas, like Carlos and Kristen Ashley. How you doing, Kristen? Good morning. Anthony Davis is here as well. Robert, Larry, Benoit, RJ, how you doing? Whole slew of folks hanging out here in the live chat here. So these people here, but also me, and my guest today on the prediction show, Tony from the Get the Tables podcast, who has graciously accepted my invitation to come on the show. Tony, how are you doing this morning? Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Really appreciate you having me on, and I'm glad we are finally able to do a prediction show together.
Yeah, not to go too much inside baseball on this, but Tony and I have been working a long time on trying to do something together on the stream here. But life happens. But we're finally making it happen, which is fantastic. And Tony, just in case, we do have people here who are discovering you for the first time, or perhaps know what you do, but just would like to hear about what you do again. Why don't you tell everyone what you do as far as wrestling content creation on the interwebs?
No problem. We are Get the Tables podcast. We are live on Twitch every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Friday is more of a Impact watch party that we do over on our Twitch account, where we just watch Impact.
Which is cool. Cool. I've been there a couple of times. I wish I could get there more often. But it's going to be tough these days with my Fightful stuff. But yeah, it is the Impact watch alongs that you guys do. The watch parties are fantastic. It's all, you have a great bunch of people there who hang out. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of good people. It's not trolling Impact or how some people are with Impact, but it's a really fun show. Thursdays we go over AEW, NXT. We show highlights of what went down of certain matches and kind of give our takes on it and get your guys' opinions on what goes down on those shows as well. And then Saturday is kind of our shoot the shit, where we touch on everything going on in wrestling, go over the rumors and innuendos going around in wrestling as well. We'll do a prediction of a pay-per-view. It's the following night, and get you guys kind of ready of what's going on in the wrestling week ahead of us. So work hard over there. We also are on Twitter. We live tweet every Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT show. So we try to get involved with as much people as we can. So like I said, thank you for having us on, and I looking forward to talk Hell in a Cell with you, even though there's only 4 matches so far.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. And Kristen, who always looks out for me, she says in the chat, Impact is on Tuesdays now.
Yes. So
now I feel really stupid.
To clarify that, yes, Impact is on Access on Tuesday nights. They will not have a premiere show until the 29th of October. So from now until October 29th, they're just going to be showing replays of pay-per-views that has happened this past year. They still are running Impact on Twitch on Fridays until the 29th. Now, once they move to Tuesdays, I'm not sure if they're still going to simulcast, but until the 29th of October, you can still watch Impact on Twitch on Friday nights.
So I'm kind of right. I'm still kind of right.
Yeah, you are technically correct. Yes.
It's still difficult anyway. So it's fantastic, and you guys do fantastic work, and I'm really, really glad that you're on today to talk about the 4 matches, as you mentioned, that we are excited about regarding Hell in a Cell. I mean, this is unique. I don't remember. Let's get right into it. I don't remember a pay-per-view, a WWE pay-per-view, being so underhyped, where you actually feel a tangible lack of love towards were the day before the show. There's right up until last night. During SmackDown, there were still only 3 matches. They added an extra match a little later on in the evening. I didn't, I woke up this morning and I went to check, to keep the outline up to date.
Yeah.
And they added 1 match. This build-up, man, what do you think about it? I think it's a little weird. What do you think? What do you think about it?
It's been very lackluster. It seems they're putting all their attention towards Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, that little Hell in the Cell match, and kind of neglected everything else going on in the card. And like we touched on earlier, the whole Super Showdown or Crown Jewel and the debut of SmackDown on Fox really put Hell in a Cell in the back burner, to where they totally kind of put that aside and concentrated more on SmackDown and a pay-per-view that's at the end of the month.
Yeah, and to me, it's fascinating that they made the decision to start talking about that they started talking about Crown Jewel as soon as last Monday. At some point it could be like, look, can we get to the point where this pay-per-view is properly hyped? Because we were talking about this just before going on air, and I think it bears being said out loud. If I had bought tickets to go see this show live, I'd be kind of pissed, because clearly WWE doesn't care about this show if we're the day before and nothing else has been hyped.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have 3 matches 2 nights before your pay-per-view, that's not really showing any type of interest in this pay-per-view. And then guys and gals, are going to this pay-per-view and spending hard-earned money on this, and they're getting a lackluster performance from the WWE. I wouldn't be happy. And yeah, you get to see The Fiend and get to see Seth Rollins battle it out inside a cage, but that's not really worth $80, $90 when you're only getting 3 other matches on the show. It's just kind of sad.
Unless all these matches go 1 hour Broadways.
Yeah, Iron Man matches for every match, I guess. And they really screwed themselves having the SmackDown debut 2 nights before the pay-per-view and then announcing a draft a week after. It was really bad timing from the WWE.
Yeah, their planning was a little off. I mean, but then again, it's kind of on brand for them to have wonky planning as well. So yeah, I think we're in agreement, right? That there was a lot of overshadowing by the Fox premiere. I think that didn't contribute at all here. But since we only have 4 matches to talk about, why don't we talk about SmackDown last night?
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean,
let's do that.
We're gonna have to try and stretch this one out. I thought, I watched the whole thing. I even held a watch along over on my Patreon, but you can join if you want. Patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes, and watch the whole thing. My overall assessment, I thought it started out. I thought the show started off really, really strong with the segment with Becky, The Rock, and Baron Corbin. I think that was perfect. The women had match of the night. And they all looked like superstars, and I thought it was a bold move for them to do so, to have the first match be the women and be in that showcase position. I thought the rest of SmackDown was not designed for wrestling fans. I feel like everything that was done was conceived to appeal to the mainstream media, get people taking pictures of Braun and Tyson Fury, Cain Velasquez. There was nothing of substance for wrestling fans, for WWE fans that night. That's my overall. What did you think?
I agree with you. You have an 8-man tag match just randomly put together just so you can have Braun and Tyson have a face-off outside the ring. Like, seriously. And then with the Brock and Kofi, you hype this match up. You have Kofi on Fox. You have Paul Heyman show up on Raw to hype the match up. You have Paul Heyman do an interview during the show to hype the match up. And then you give us a 5-second match when Brock has had competitive matches with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan and all them, and you give Kofi the shaft after 6 months of holding your title. It just didn't seem right to me.
And not only 6 months, Tony, not only 6 months, but a brilliant run.
Mm-hmm.
This year in WWE, there is no one that has been better booked as a champion as Kofi Kingston has. He's been booked smart, like as a smart babyface, which is a rarity in WWE. Booked super strong, very protected. He's probably lost 2 or 3 matches since February. And the entire story of the Kofi run was 11 years of struggle, 11 years of clawing my way to the top, finally reach it. This was not a proper pay, and I'm just talking in pure storyline terms here. This was not a proper payoff to a story, to this tale. I ultimately would not have minded if Brock had won if Brock had won the title with Kofi having that struggle, having Brock be this symbol of his past 11 years, but then he's got another mountain that just popped in front of him and that he's going to have to try and get over. Where he's at, if we had seen Kofi the fighter, in tears, sweating, trying to take Brock down, taking a hell of a beating, but Brock just staying on top, keeping the upper hand, I would have been fine with it. But this is not how you pay off. This is not how you pay off the story. Plus, on top of that, when Kofi lost, Kofi disappeared.
Yeah,
we didn't see him around the ring. We didn't see him like. We didn't even. They didn't even give him a segment backstage. They did on social media, but not on TV because we needed to have Cain Velasquez.
yeah. You're absolutely 100% right. That was just pure crap. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I touched on it last night when we were doing our watch party. I didn't mind Brock winning. I get why they have Brock as the champion going into SmackDown. I 100% understand that, but you cannot get. There was at least 10 minutes left in the show. You couldn't give me a 5-minute competitive match where Kofi Kingston looks like he's going to beat Brock. You couldn't give me a Trouble in Paradise and a 2 count with Brock kicking out. You, instead of having Kofi look like a dummy, run up to Brock and jump on him, like that looks so silly. And you're right.
And it makes him look stupid. That's it. That's an excellent point. And it makes him look stupid, whereas his entire run, he has not been stupid. Kofi Kingston has been a very, very smart champion the whole way through. It just makes him look dumb. There's a Theodorus in the chat says let's touch upon Cain Velasquez a bit, and this will be a good lead in. Cain Velasquez beat up Brock, who was not in great shape. Basically saying Cain Velasquez is not in great shape, but he went in to beat Brock up. He's not built jacked like Brock. Are we supposed to believe that this guy is going to beat him? There's one thing that I will say. Cain Velasquez is a legitimate tough guy. Like he is legitimately a tough, strong, a son of a bitch. However, Velasquez in his last pay-per-view match got knocked out within the first 30 seconds. Like his image is not as his image is not as glowing as Brock's is, because Brock, I guess, was smart enough to jump out of MMA before he started his downslide, which is why people still see him as a beast. Do you have any thoughts on Velasquez in and about himself and his appearance?
I've seen some of his work in AAA, some of the kind of matches that he's had. He looks impressive for being someone who's just jumped into the wrestling game. But to have him come out like that and overshadow your world champion didn't make sense to me. It just to get national media attention. Oh, Cain Velasquez is showing up to challenge Brock for the world championship. Really? Like, this guy has a knee injury and we're supposed to believe that he can go in there and dominate Brock right off the start. It didn't make sense to me. They just wanted to get the mainstream attention. You could tell that they were really on with the main street. You have Aaron Andrews showing up backstage doing interviews. You have Tyson Fury with his little confrontation with Braun Strowman. Then you have them showing celebrities at ringside, and then you have the whole Cain Velasquez at the end.
Yeah,
It was just
I
disappointing to
agree.
me, and having them not mention Kofi at all. He just lost the title. He was having one of the strongest runs in WWE history, in my opinion, as
Yep.
the champion, and he gets squashed in 5 seconds, and he's not mentioned once in that whole segment, just so they can get Kane out there and throw some fists at Brock. It's just didn't really care
I
for it.
think only like as far as the world title, the WWE title goes, I think only AJ Styles maybe you could make an argument that there'd be a compelling argument to say who had the better run, AJ Styles' last run or Kofi,
Mm-hmm.
and there would have been a way for Velasquez. There could have been a much better way to bring this about, and I was talking about this with Sean last night on the Fightful recap. The If you're going to do the Rey Mysterio thing, by the way, I don't think people are talking enough about how much of a bitch Rey Mysterio looks like for having brought down someone to fight his battles for him. Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio Jr., legitimate wrestling legend, like a legitimate one. A
Mm-hmm.
former world champion, former U.S. champion, former tag team champion. He's done it all. And he's going to bring a dude to fight his battles? Are you shitting me? Anyway,
Yeah.
but if you're going to go down that route and you want to do the route of Rey Mysterio bringing someone out to screw with Brock, have Velasquez cost Brock the match. You don't need the title in this circumstance. You don't need the title to tell the Velasquez Lesnar story. You don't. You don't need the Universal title, and you have Kofi retain the title in a fishy way. Brock still looks strong and untouchable because, goddamn, right? That you need Brock to stay strong and untouchable, and you set it up that way. Everything would have made much more sense, and I don't think we'd be around going like this this morning, kind of
Right. You're and Sean Ross Sapp, I believe, tweeted out that, and he made a good point. Did this feud need a title? Did it really need the world
It doesn't.
championship involved? No. There's a story already with Kane and Brock that they don't need the title. I guess they needed it to bring it to the next level. But why did they need this? And you're right. They could have had Ray's music hit. Brock gets distracted. Oh shit! It's Cain Velasquez showing up. Kofi, you know, hits him with the trouble in paradise or whatever have you, rolls him up, do whatever, and beats him. It didn't need to go down the way they did. And just to me, it's an overreaction by WWE just to get these sports guys involved in their promotion. That's the stuff I don't like.
Right. A few fun chats here where this morning people are alive on a Saturday morning. That's great. Benoit says, I guess that Fox and Saudi money is what's dictating current WWE decisions. Aaron's Jace fan is here. How you doing? He says the last hour was about boxing and MMA on a wrestling show. Vape Ross Vape as well in the chat says, is the WWE a rest home for MMA fighters? Which is
yeah, you would think next is what, Conor McGregor? They're going to go after Rob Gronkowski. They're going to try to get all these former sports guys that have retired or are just down and out, and they're going to bring them into the WWE. It's just
pretty much. And we have 1001 OF clips. How you doing? Welcome to the chat. Says just came from watching the Fightful SmackDown review, and I get to watch some more Warren Hayes and my main man Tony.
What's up, Marion Watson?
Join us. I want to say hi to
our boy
Anthony Davis and Robert Soltrin, who are in the chat as well. What fantastic crowd this morning. Okay, well listen, we've talked about Fox, SmackDown. Might as well start wrapping this show.
Yep. Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to talk about the 4 currently announced matches. But you know what? Here, let's do something fun. And I didn't put this in the outline. It just came to me, Tony.
Let's do it.
We have 4 matches announced right now. If we were to add, let's say, 1 or 2 more matches, if you were to add 1 or 2 more matches based on And I'm sorry I'm blindsiding you with this. I would have given you time to prepare. But hey, spontaneity.
Hey, I like it. That's what you got to do. You got to be ready.
If you were to use like the current setup of the current crop of wrestlers, the feuds that have been around, if you were to add 1 or 2 matches to this card, what would you add to Hell in a Cell tomorrow?
You would probably have to add Bobby Lashley Rusev. Since of what happened at Monday Night Raw with Lana showing up and having that little hump party with Lashley to end Raw, you would have to assume that you'd get that match. On Hell in a Cell. I'm trying to think of another feud that's going on that you would put on maybe a tag team title match. You just had Heavy Machinery give it to Dolph and Rude. Maybe you give them a rematch.
I mean, the Revival were on SmackDown last night. They're the SmackDown Tag Champions, and they were relegated to a lumberjack match, and I hate lumberjack matches. Full disclosure.
It just you know what? I could only really think of one match to add onto that card with the current feuds that are going on. Maybe Nakamura and Ali, Mustafa Ali. You could maybe go that route. They had their little feud going on with SmackDown.
That's a fantastic idea.
The WWE has done such a poor job these last couple of weeks of building feuds and storylines because of a stupid draft that it's hard to even add more matches onto this card, even if you wanted to.
We have some suggestions in the chat. And chat, yes, do feel free to add in your suggestions. What should we add? Or if you were booking WWE Hell in a Cell tomorrow, who would you add? We have Benoit who says Alana on a pole match. and Vape Ross Vape. There's Tiger Woods versus AJ Styles. You know, if you're going for that crossover appeal,
there you go. Yeah,
you put Woods with AJ Styles. AJ would get a great match out of a wet sack of potatoes. So that would actually work. Kristen says Ember Moon versus Asuka. That would be something.
Yeah. That would be unbelievable. But they'd probably put that on the pre-show.
And
knowing WWE,
knowing them, I would put Baron Corbin versus Chad Gable.
Okay.
Gable versus Corbin. If they were a couple, that would be their couple name, though. For my money, they've had the most interesting feud, the best built feud over the past couple of months in WWE. It's worked out perfectly. I think they've done a fantastic job. Short jokes aside, they've did a wonderful job at building Gable as an underdog, Corbin as the disgusting, despicable heel, and just letting them run with it. Yes, Cable has lost twice, but he did the second time he lost because of a scepter shot to the head. That's something you only hear in wrestling, by the way. And you feel that there's still gas to it because they work really well together. They have chemistry. It's a fun feud, and both guys are getting over more because of it. But Gable just getting over, period. And Corbin is. It's improving, definitely going up there, and I would say put I'd give another shot to the Kabuki Warriors for the women's tag team titles and actually have them win. Just mix up the title scene a bit. I mean, you could hot potato the women's titles. It doesn't matter. You just have to give them a reason to you have to give the titles a reason to move around and to exist, really. So it seems like when someone wins those titles, they have them for a couple of months, and so I guess they establish a new team that they feel comfortable with. Yeah, you're right on that. And Baron Corbin and Chad Gable, yes, they've been putting on some classics, but how about Baron Corbin? He has really became something with this King of the Ring tournament. He had probably the one. I know Gable had an impressive. He didn't really face much of anybody because of what happened over on the SmackDown side, but Baron Corbin had one hell of a King of the Ring run. Yes. He's become one of the top guys in the WWE, if you want to agree or not. I know a lot of people don't like him, but that's you're not supposed to like him. That's him doing his job. Well, I don't think Universal Champion Baron Corbin is ever going to be a thing. Okay?
No.
But I don't think that's what his role is, and I think he's okay with that. His job is to get heat. And he's been doing it well, but he's been doing it well since King of the Ring, I completely agree because they're letting the guy wrestle. They're letting the guy have good matches. I don't know how the matches were produced in the last 18 months with his feuds with Seth and his feuds with Braun, which just churned out these incredibly dull, lifeless matches where you basically have a cravat locked in for 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. I like to call it the main event cravat. I don't know why they let him do that, because you see what he did in the King of the Ring tournament, and like, okay, this guy can go. And not only can he go, and not only was he a heel, but he won every match cleanly. He didn't use chair shots. He didn't use underhanded tactics to win. He just won clean every single time. So he's converted me, because I couldn't stand him. For me, it was legitimately go away heat. Now I'm like, okay, sure, bring him on. And if he keeps having great matches like he's been having, and Chad Gable had match of the year candidates on 205 Live against Jack Gallagher. We know he's fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. And not only is he fantastic, and I'm going to throw this to you just to get your ideas. He's very charismatic. He knows how to work a microphone. He has comedic timing, and he has the Olympic pedigree. Does that sound like someone that used to be in WWE, a certain legend who won a certain medal with a certain neck that was broken in some places? I don't know why they're not uncorking Chad Gable on that level, because he literally is a modern day Kurt Angle.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. And he's unbelievable in the ring. Yeah. Does he need some work on certain stuff? Yes. You know, he probably needs a little bit of mic work, but inside that ring, he is unbelievable. And the matches that he's had with Baron Corbin have been great. And I'm glad that, knock on wood, that WWE is finally seeing something in Chad Gable. And hopefully they don't just keep him around to do these stupid short jokes all the time with him, and actually do something with Chad Gable for a change.
For sure. Want to say hi to Bob Aruski, who jumped into the chat.
Hey, Bob Aruski.
Aaron Jates fan, a few match ideas that popped into the chat here. We have Aaron Jates fan, who talked about the Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Great minds think alike. Digital Lizard, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Says AJ's open challenge answered by John Morrison. And we also have a call for Cedric Alexander versus Styles again, which I'd be okay with. They work absolutely well together. Jay King, how you doing? Chad versus Baron would be a great addition to the Hell in a Cell. Give AOP a match, says Anthony Davis. Sure, have them run in and destroy the Revival so that Chris Spisak can bust a couple of neurons.
Oh, you would love that.
Leo Rush versus Drew Gulak, maybe. Yeah, that would also be that's in the cards, actually. Vape Ross Vape says Orton versus the NAACP.
Oh, jeez.
And we do have a couple of calls for Ember versus Asuka as well, that Kristen called out earlier, and that would be fantastic because they had a great match in NXT. So there we go. So now that we've speculated about matches that could be added, let's talk about those who have been added. And I'm going to tell them, we're going to go through them in reverse order as they're presented on WWE.com. So this is not me editorializing and saying, oh, this match should be before. No, we're going bottom up. First match we're going to talk about is the most recent addition, WWE SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley is going to defend her title against Charlotte Flair. I really like Bayley's heel turn because it is the most ambiguous and unconventional heel turn. She's absolutely just, it's like, I'm just doing this to protect my friend. I'm a good guy. I show you guys that, you have to stick up for your friends. Shotzi's my best friend, so I look out for her. Why are you guys booing me? Why is everyone attacking me? Like, she doesn't understand.
That she's been playing it very, very good. I've been enjoying Bailey as a heel. They've done a good job with her. I'll
Tell me
say
about
that.
it. What do you think about this match? The whole
Uh,
thing, actually, because they have a feud. This is not the first time that they're going to
yeah,
fight.
they've been feuding for a while now, and I'm actually surprised that they just now announced this match last night. I figured they would have been on the card already, since all four of the ladies have been feuding, and you having tag matches with them and everything. But the match, it should be good. Am I ready for Bailey and Charlotte to move on? Yes, I want to see Bailey actually face new opponents for a change. It seems like it's a revolving door of the same opponents every time she wrestles
Mm-hmm.
someone. And I'm hoping after this draft and this Hell in a Cell match, she'll still be the champ. And we finally see her used against other people. I'm just tired of seeing her face
Right.
Charlotte every single
Because
time.
let's not forget that the match that they had at Clash of Champions ended very abruptly. It
Yes.
was it,
The little turnbuckle shot.
it wasn't. I mean, it worked for Bailey and what they were trying to do with it, but it was a very raw ending, and not a pay-per-view conclusion. The match didn't build to anything. It was very, very there. And chat, let us know, by the way, who you think is going to win this match. Is Bailey going to retain? Is Charlotte going to become a 9-time? What are we at? Someone in chat will figure it out. The number of times Charlotte
15 times by now. You never know with Charlotte's winning the title all the time.
Let's talk about Charlotte as well, though. And I want to get your thoughts off of this comment. Charlotte Flair being a babyface is the worst timeline.
I agree. Her as a heel is she's perfect as a heel. Charlotte should not be anything other than a heel. She plays that persona so perfectly, and her trying to be a face just doesn't work out for her. She comes out really corny, in my opinion. Doesn't come out believable as a face. But when she's a heel, she really brings out that, excuse my language, bitch side of her, and it really, really plays off very, very well on TV. This character I'm right now with Charlotte, I'm not really digging. I know because she's probably the face of this feud right now, but I'm ready for the old Charlotte we got a couple of months ago when she was just a savage heel.
And I mean, look, Flair's are heels. They just are. Even Rick did his best work as a heel. That's just how it is. You get the impression that WWE just wants her to be a baby face. They need her to be like smiling and red carpeting and doing Good Morning America. You feel like that's what they want. That's what they really, really want. But goddamn, when it comes to their stories, what they tell, Charlotte is superior in every way when she's, like you said, a bitch.
Right, and why can't they have her be a heel and still go to Good Morning America and do all these interviews? Yes, it's kayfabe. She's not going to be a heel on TV. Yeah, but you got to see past that. You got to understand what wrestling is all about. She could still be a heel and do all these interviews and stuff like that. I don't know why WWE, I guess because it's the Flair name, has to try to get her to be a face. It just never works out. I always hear people complain that they don't like this Charlotte face character. It just never works out.
And the guy who plays Jon Snow on Game of Thrones doesn't go do media interviews going,
right,
all the time I spent on the wall.
Exactly.
It's like, come on, that disconnect exists now. Kayfabe is dead. It's fine. Want to say hi to Darren Kirkby, who's in the chat. We're doing this early enough for his UK ass to be able to watch this right now. Dale Campbell, how you doing? A lot of people calling for Charlotte to win. Darren, Anthony Davis says Bailey wins with the help of Sasha. We've got a lot of Charlotte winning. Kristen Ashley says it's a record 9 times. She's a record 9-time champion, going on 10. Jeez. Yeah. Vape Ross Vape
it's
says
still her very young career for Charlotte.
Yeah. Yes. Vape Ross Vape says Bailey in a sneaky win. So there's a bit of everything. There's a bit of everything. And 1001 OF Clips says, in Charlotte's eyes, she's not a face or a heel, just the queen. Woo!
Hey, that was
Thank
pretty
you.
good. That was pretty
I've
good.
been rehearsing so hard. So there we go. So well, let's wrap this up then. Who do you think is coming out on top here?
Uh, I want to say Bailey, but I'm gonna go Charlotte. I think they're gonna go Charlotte, move her to SmackDown. With the draft come up next week, have another Flair, on the big time show. So I'm gonna go Charlotte. Flair beats Bailey tomorrow night.
This is going to be a tricky one, isn't it? It's going to be really, really tricky because the draft is coming up, and it's really once the draft is all set up that we're really going to get a better picture of what they're going to try and do and with whom. It's a difficult one to call, but I'm going to go with Bailey because I think she's doing good work. I think there is a way for her to pardon my language, she's been eating shit over the past few matches. Like, she's been taking the beating. Honestly, they've been doing a lot of, and this is something, by the way, that I have to get rid of when I speak. Starting a sentence by saying honestly, as if everything else I say isn't. So that's one thing I'm trying to curb. But Bailey, in the tag matches that they've been having, her and Sasha, against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and against Becky and Charlotte, she's been the MVP of these matches. She's been eating the offense. She's been doing all the work so that Sasha just has to tag into a couple of moves, then tag back out. Bailey has been the woman as far as
she's been the workhorse in that tag
absolutely.
team. Absolutely.
So, oftentimes there's a reason, why, the champions or what will take that kind of beating and then will come out. I kind of feel just by that type of booking that she's going to come out on top. Charlotte doesn't need the title. You know what I mean? She just doesn't. And I think there's more gasoline on this that can be poured on this Bailey fire right now. I think there's still more gas to this gasoline fight. Look, I'm all over the place this morning. And just
I agree. I hope they go the route that you're saying. I really do hope they have Bailey win tomorrow night. But it feels like knowing the WWE, they're gonna have their big names on that SmackDown show, and you would have to expect Charlotte Flair being one of them. So I'm gonna have to go with her winning tomorrow night.
Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns are teaming up. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Shake my hand.
God damn it. Versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. Let's just get this out of the way. We're happy Luke Harper is back on TV. Yes.
Absolutely. Great to see him back.
Look, Roman Reigns beat Eric Rowan last night on SmackDown Live. And Tony, give me a reason to care about this match now.
The only reason to care about this match is Daniel Bryan is going to turn on Roman Reigns.
Oh, you think?
I think this is all a smoke screen with Daniel Bryan. I don't think he's really being attacked by Luke and Rowan. I think this is all a plan, and I think Daniel Bryan turns on Roman Reigns. I think it's going to be one of those competitive matches for a little bit, and then Daniel Bryan turns the switch and turns on Roman tomorrow night.
So basically, what you're saying here is that it was Daniel Bryan all along, Roman.
It was. Yep, Daniel Bryan, the mastermind of this whole plan, I think is going to be revealed tomorrow night.
I kind of want a mask at this point, or a hood, right? A cloak. Roman.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
And Daniel Bryan would pull it off, right?
Yes, he would. He would do such a great job at it.
The greatest thing. Yeah. This feud is a hard sell for me. Like Roman versus Eric Rowan, it's always been a hard sell. I'll give Eric Rowan his due. He tries. He tries really, really hard, and every week since his solo venture, he's done his best to mix up his offense. He's always been adding a little something new to it. and he's, it's never just been flatline big guy stuff. He's been trying to do stuff, and that I appreciate. I appreciate much more, a wrestler who, even if he's not a work rate champion a la AJ Styles or Cedric Alexander or Chad Gable, if he's at least trying to mix up what he's doing. And it's the same thing with Baron Corbin over the course of his run as over the course of the King of the Ring tournament. If they're trying to mix it up, to add some things to their offense, I can appreciate that, and it just makes me like them a little more.
Yeah, he's, him being with Daniel Bryan, he was really kind of handcuffed on what he could do. He didn't talk very much. Well, now being by himself, he's really kind of opened the door of, oh, Roman can do this. Oh, Roman can do that. Wow, I didn't know he can do that. And yeah, he's not going to bring you into the crowd or spy you into the seat and watch him.
Oh, for sure.
In a match. But he's done a great job. Like you said, you could tell that's not something that he's probably comfortable doing, being by himself, and maybe that's why they brought Luke back. But he's done a pretty good job being by himself and being put in a big time spot, feuding with Roman Reigns. I think he's done a really, really good job. And you're right. You got to give him some credit going out there and doing what he's doing, promos and putting on these matches for someone who really wasn't doing this beforehand.
Sure. There's people agreeing with you in the chat, Tony, by the way, regarding Daniel Bryan turning.
Yeah.
And Bobaruski even calls it a bludgeoning. Wink, wink.
Good old Bobaruski.
Let us know, chat, who you think is going to win here. Like, it's one thing Daniel Bryan turning on Roman, but he can turn at any given moment. I'm very disappointed that I don't care about 1/4 of the card.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
But I mean, if I have to pick, well, I think I think we're going to go. I think we're going to go with Roman and Daniel Bryan, and if there's a turn that's going to be happening, it's going to be after the match.
Okay.
Okay. What do you think?
Fair point. I think it happens during the match. I think Daniel Bryan, either Roman maybe tried to go for that tag, and Daniel Bryan jumps off the apron type of thing, and then you go, oh my God, what is Daniel Bryan doing? And then you maybe do that route. I don't know. I just feel like I'm gonna go Rowan and Harper with the help of Daniel Bryan turning on.
Sounds good. We'll see what happens. Aaron Jace fan compares it to Flair and Sting at Halloween Havoc in 1995. Flair and Sting.
Throwback.
Flair and Sting, babe. That's been the basis of their relationship, really. Next, let's talk about one of our two Hell in a Cell matches. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. I have thoughts. But I'd like to hear yours first because you're the guest. Tell me about this feud. Tell me about Sasha and Becky. Tell me overall feelings. How do you feel about Sasha and Becky going at it in Hell in a Cell, basically?
I'm sure it'll be a good match. I'm sure we'll probably see some really pretty cool spots, maybe, possibly. I don't care about this feud. I really don't. I feel like this is just another feud to get Becky Lynch over. I hope they don't. I hope they go the route of Sasha winning. But I'm not into this feud. I'm ready. I want to see fresh faces. That's all I want.
Yeah.
The women's division is so talented, but they only show us just a handful. Mm-hmm. And I'm ready for them to go off to fresh faces in the women's division. This match should be good. I have no doubt about that. Just feelings towards this feud, I have none. I don't care for it at all.
This is the, I agree with you. This is the kind of match where, despite the fact that I feel like the build-up, the feud in and about itself was not very good, I think the match itself has the possibility of just living in this little bubble and just being amazing. Because Because Sasha and Becky are fantastic women's wrestlers. They're really, really, really good at what they do. And there's a reason why they're called the Four Horsewomen. And there's a reason why these four women were put on the first SmackDown on Fox in the first match. And there's a reason why Becky Lynch was the first wrestler you saw last night as well. It's because they're fantastic. They're fantastic personalities. They're fantastic athletes. They're fantastic wrestlers. I'm gonna posit, give a theory as to why you don't care about this feud, because I don't either. I care about the match. I don't care about the feud. But I'll give you a thought here. Sasha's been booked as a chump since coming back.
Right.
She did one. Her arrival was cordon bleu. It was fantastic. Comes in, beats the shit out of Natalya, beats the shit out of Becky with a chair. And then after that, she starts cutting those iffy promos. And Sasha her promo work has never been her strong suit. I think we can all agree on that. She's okay, but it's not her strong suit. Very iffy promos, backstage stuff, and she has not looked strong in most of the matches that she's had. Yes, she's been winning by DQ. She's been, if she's been in tag matches, she hasn't been taking the pins, but she's always been flat on her back, or not always, but a lot of times she doesn't look strong. And the thing with Becky Lynch is that Becky Lynch looks strong. She acts strong. She's a credible champion, as far as someone that you can say, yeah, she's going to beat your ass. And what people got excited for when Sasha returned was like, here's someone who can beat Bayley's ass, because Sasha can be hardcore. But she's not acting hardcore. This is not on Sasha. Of course, this is creative. This is booking. This is not on Sasha herself. She hasn't been placed in a position where she looks really, really strong, that you can consider her a threat to Becky. This is what Charlotte feels like in regards to Becky. You put Charlotte and Becky, even though we've been to the well so many times with it, but you put those two together and you're like, they're going to tear it up. This is one of the reasons why it worked so well with Ronda Rousey, because Ronda Rousey feels like a threat. Sasha doesn't feel like a threat. She was booked like a chump, and that's disappointing, because Sasha Banks is fantastic, and she can turn it up, and she can be really, really violent if she needs to be, but they're not letting her do it. So all the build up until this point has just been, all right. And I agree, they're probably just setting it up so that Becky goes over again.
You make a great point there. And Sasha Banks, we've seen how she was in NXT. She was the boss. She was the bitch. She was very savage. And once they moved her to WWE, it seems like they haven't brought her back to that route again. And like you said, when she came back with during the Natalya interview, she beats the shit out of her. She beats the shit out of Becky, and then has this kind of cold-hearted promo the next night. And you really think, oh my goodness, they're really going to go a different route with her. And then they go to where she's a chump, like you said, where Bayley's doing the majority of the work, and it seems like Bayley's the leader of these two with her and Sasha. It just doesn't really make sense to me. And you're right, they with Ronda and Charlotte, you felt like they had a chance because of their badass and they make them look really credible in the ring and so forth. But with Sasha, yeah, you're right. She's looked like a little priss. She's very coward. Yeah. You don't expect her to win on Sunday night. It would be a complete shock.
And by the way, chat, let us know who you think is going to win in this Hell in a Cell match. Does Becky retain? Does Sasha, excuse me, does she become the new Raw Women's Champion? That's the thing. Like, I get the cowardly heel thing. That's fine. And sometimes it works, but it depends on who you're fighting against, who your champion is. Becky wants to fight. Becky says, look, all I want to do is fight, and I will take anyone else. I'll slap your head off, you dopes, whatever. Those are lines that I like. She does remind us a lot of Stone Cold, and Stone Cold's best feuds have always been against guys who are like, you know what, I'm going to do my best to stand up to you, not just book it every time you hit the ring. That's what Sasha's been doing. Why wouldn't? And Sasha comes back. She beats Becky down with a chair, and then after that, it's like, no, don't touch me. It doesn't make sense. And when Sasha came back, and I said it on my show, when Sasha came back, I was like, finally, this here is the feud that Becky needed since winning the title at WrestleMania, because the Lacey Evans thing didn't do it for her. Natalya,
this didn't work out.
The match at SummerSlam was great, but that was it. But this was the feud that Sasha needed, that Becky needed to really elevate, to make her feel like she's a big deal. But it's not happening because of how they're booking Sasha, which doesn't make sense to me.
Right, and like you said, the cowardly heel. You have Brock Lesnar, one of the baddest heels in the WWE. Even him can show a coward side.
We saw it last
when
night.
Someone's trying to go and attack him, he runs out of the ring. That's a coward.
We saw it last night. Velasquez comes to the ring and he's like,
I'm out of here. It doesn't make him look like a chump or nothing, just being a coward, but when Brock wants to be that asshole, he can be that asshole. But it seems like with Sasha, it's night and day from how they booked her in NXT as the boss. She came down with the SUV and the bodyguards, and she was grabbing little girls' headbands off their head, and she was just this complete savage. And then they watered her down so bad in the WWE.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's absolutely that's spot on. Do you think that this feud deserves to be in a Hell in a Cell?
The way that they've gone with it. Yeah, because of the chair shots and stuff, but in all aspects, no. I don't think that Cell's needed. They're just, let's put these two women in here because it's going to grab, the fans' attention. That's really the only reason why they have those two ladies in the ring. I don't think it needs a Cell at all.
Who do you think is coming out on top of this one?
I want to say Sasha Banks, but Becky Lynch.
I think so too.
This to me, this card is so predictable except for the main event.
Yep. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about the main event then. Let's go right into. Let's talk about. There's a lot of people saying, well, Kristen in the chat says, Kristen says, I want Sasha to be winning.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be nice, but look, unless the title makes her, we'll see what happens, right? Main event time. Hell in a Cell for the Universal Championship. Seth Rollins, the champ chomp, versus Bray Wyatt, aka The Fiend. It's hard to argue that The Fiend is probably the hottest act in WWE right now.
Absolutely.
By the way, people are are saying in the chat that the Street Profits suck, and I know that's directed to you.
Yeah, there's disrespect. How dare they say stuff like that?
Quick segue. There's a difference between the NXT Street Profits and the Raw Street Profits, right?
Yes, everyone. If you do not like the Raw Street Profits, I absolutely understand. But check them out on NXT. They're 100% different, and they can go in the ring. Don't believe what everybody's saying about them on Twitter that they suck. Let them. Hopefully, after what we saw on Wednesday, they'll finally get some TV time on Raw, and meaning in the ring, to show out how talented they really are.
So there you go.
Thank you.
So hard to argue, right? The Fiend is the hottest act in WWE right now.
Absolutely. Did you see the stuff that he was that's been going around that he did?
The morning show?
Showed up at the morning show and stayed in character. That man, how can you not have this man win the championship? I just don't understand how they would not go that route with him.
I'm torn on this, right? I'm torn on this because I feel like it's rare that you'll hear these days say someone doesn't need the title. The Fiend doesn't need the title, right? And he has to be booked strong. He has to win. He has to win tomorrow,
He has
right?
to. He has
doesn't
to.
need the title. Anyway. So on one end, I'm like, it's too soon. But then again, how many times have we raised our fist in anger at WWE saying, damn you, WWE, listen to your audience. He's hot right now. Put the strap on him. And all points to them doing exactly that. I mean, this is a rare occasion where WWE is taking the pulse of the room and listening to it and just going for it. Sure. I'm okay with that. I'm honestly, I'm really, really torn because I think that I'm a huge fan of Bray. Full disclosure, I have always been a huge fan of Bray Wyatt. Even in the miserable 2018 run where he'd just babble at the camera, I was still holding hope and like, it's okay, Bray. We're just gonna get over this hump together, man. And then when you do, you're gonna get the SmackDown title again, and everything's gonna be cool, man. You know. I mean, I still held hope, and I'm glad I did. So I mean, I honestly just want the best for Bray Wyatt. I think he's found a niche here. He's found his calling in the company, basically his color, where he will now be he'll now be considered legitimately as a contender, as a top tier top guy.
I agree. It just makes me a little bit nervous because we've seen what WWE has done with guys that they brought up and people start loving them and they just shoot them down right back to earth. And I just don't want them to do that with the Fiend. Yes, he needs to win win the match tomorrow night. No, he doesn't need the title. Yes, it's kind of a hot start to a guy that just debuted about a month or two ago, and I don't feel like he needs the title. And I'm worried that if he does win it, are they going to start overbooking him to where he's on Raw all the time and showing up in person all the time? And how are you going to have him lose the title? And how are you going to? That's the stuff that I'm worried about. If he does lose tomorrow night, I feel like this will kill all of his momentum that he's been building up these past couple of months. What about you?
You're absolutely right. Part of the attraction of the Fiend is, when is he going to show up? That was, right up until he started actually feuding with Seth Rollins. We didn't know when the Fiend was going to show up. Then he starts slaughtering legends, and like, holy shit! Okay, this is really good. Like, it's really Millennium Undertaker, right? Where that's exactly what it is. Taker didn't come out every week. And when Taker came out, there was, he had his entrance. It's not as elaborate as it is today, but he still had Paul Bearer in front of him with the urn, and he'd, walk zombie-like to the ring. It would there'd be this presence, and when he would show up, it would be an event, and it's even more of an event these days because of his legendary status. But this is what's interesting about the Fiend, and this is what I feel is kind of just what made the feud with Seth a little tiresome, is that we know he'd show up at the end. Seth was in the main event. We knew he was going to show up. It just became a little bit predictable. And then he'd show up.
Yeah.
I'd still get excited to see him. But you know what I mean? It was just like...
It doesn't have that special feel anymore.
Exactly.
It doesn't. And when they're doing it every week, it's like, come on now, WWE, don't kill this. You had something good here where we didn't know when he was going to show up, or if we didn't show up, we still got a Firefly Funhouse episode, which is absolutely still fine. We don't need to have the Fiend show up every week on Raw. That'll be overdoing it. That kills that special character that he has there. And with this Rollins feud, I get it why they had him on there. You have to have him on SmackDown. You want to show him off to the world. I get it, but calm it down a little bit, WWE. We don't need him on the show every week.
For sure. And what's interesting here. I'm just pulling up some stuff here. Apologies. I'm just trying to pull up here.
Oh, you're okay.
When Undertaker won his first title, because they didn't put a title on Taker the minute that he debuted. Because they let that breathe. I'm sorry. I'm going to abandon this. Maybe someone in the chat can check it out for me. When Undertaker debuted versus his first actual world championship. And I would appreciate that. And I'll give you a big winky face if you do.
Oh,
that. Yeah, a winky face.
Hey, there you go. A winky face. Can't complain about that. Oh, wow. I see someone in your chat said SmackDown had 3.8 million viewers last night.
Wow. Okay. That's That's good. That's good for them. Thank you, Vape Ross. Vape Ross Vape. Guys, by the way, let us know who you think is going to come out of this Hell in a Cell, Seth or The Fiend, as the Universal Champion. Let's talk about Seth Rollins a little bit. Are you part of the crew that thinks that Seth Rollins' run has been a little stale, a little boring, a little beige? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think once they got, I'm not blaming this on Becky, but once they kind of involved Becky and him together and they started announcing that they're together and all this stuff, it really seems to water down Seth Rollins a lot, to where Becky's more the man than Seth Rollins. It just seems I'm not really digging this Seth Rollins character. I'm not a big fan of face Rollins. I'm more of a heel Rollins kind of guy. And I really feel like his time as champ has gone extremely stale. And it's surprising to see how many people actually agree with us on he's become stale. It seems like he's one of the top guys in the WWE, but it really seems like a lot of people are starting to dislike him more and more.
What I hate about Seth Rollins is that he's stupid.
But
that's Seth Rollins, the guy. We're being clear, right? I'm not. The last thing I want is
the character Seth Rollins.
The last thing I want is Colby coming at my door here, knocking, and you calling me stupid. And it's like, yo, dude, it's fine. No, the character of Seth Rollins, right? He's a dummy. He's a dummy, and he said it last week. He said it last week. I have a lot on my plate. I have the winner of the 5-man tag team match to deal with next week. Braun, I don't have time to fight you. I have the Fiend coming up. I'm stacked. I'm overloaded.
Oh yeah, don't forget Crown Jewel too.
Yes, that he added on his plate. He's a moron. He don't forget, this is the guy who got injured, right, at SummerSlam. Not at SummerSlam. Previous to that, where Brock Lesnar injured him, and then he comes down to the ring taped up, and then. I'm coming to beat you up, Brock. And Brock just beats him up some more. I'm like, you're such a fucking moron, Seth. I don't respect that. I'm like, oh, he's got grit. He's got heart. No, he's got no brains. He's a moron. I don't want to cheer for an idiot. And there's flashes, especially before Seth won the Universal title again. For the first time, there were flashes of him being a scrappy, and I like to call them scrappy baby faces, where he's like, you know what, I don't care about taking a quick shortcut here. Well, like when he won the title against Brock at WrestleMania with the nut shots, I was like, this. Yeah. I kind of like that. I like that little part of Seth Rollins. It's still like Seth Rollins. His heel influences are still there. It's still part of him. Mm-hmm. But I hate how they're establishing him as this, I will overcome everything with my grit and my resilience. It's like, no, Seth, you're a dummy. And if you this is what I hope. And I'm going right ahead into my prediction here.
All right, let's hear
it. To me, there is the Fiend has to win tomorrow, and I think that the story, if you're going to be smart about it, the story of the reason Seth Rollins loses is because he overdid it. He had too much on his plate. He overworked himself. He wasn't able to focus properly on the Fiend, and the Fiend capitalized on it. I think that's what the story has to be. And I think that's how the Fiend wins. If the Fiend doesn't win, he has to effectively murder Seth Rollins in Hell in a Cell. That's the only other outcome.
If you were going to have the Fiend lose, how do you book him to lose? Does it take a curb stomp? I would think you would have to do something so crazy to the Fiend that would take him like throw off the cell or something crazy to have the Fiend lose. I cannot see him lose to 3 curb stomps. I'm sorry. I cannot see that happen.
He has to keep getting back up, right? Curb stomping.
Right, yeah.
He crawls back up. Because that's the thing. He's a horror movie monster. He's Freddy Krueger.
He's not human. He's not human. You know, it's this different side of Bray Wyatt, and you have to think that it's going to take a lot more to take, like with the Undertaker. It took a little bit more to put down the Undertaker than the usual wrestler. This is the same way. The Fiend is not, he's some monster. It should take more than curb stomps and super kicks and all this stuff to put him down.
I'm gonna tell you the one thing that I hope we don't get is a no contest in Hell in a Cell where they like throw the match out because it's stupid, because then it devalues what a Hell in a Cell is. Because
absolutely.
And I kind of feel that might be a road that they're going to go down when I say, that the Fiend has to effectively kill Seth Rollins to end the match. That's what I mean. If he's so brutal, he does something unimaginable, unfathomable, like hanging. So
you're saying that maybe he throws this is example here. He throws him off the cage onto tables.
Yeah.
You're thinking the refs stop the match. They do the whole they just kind of gurney him out of there.
Exactly, and then the Fiend is in the ring and he's satisfied. He got what he wanted. He wanted to hurt, some sort of stupid shit like that. And then, Seth holds on to the title because the match was thrown out. And if they do that, I'm not buying it, because every wrestler who has been thrown off the cage and onto tables has got back into the cage to continue the match.
Yeah, we've seen a lot worse, and there's no way they should stop this match unless there's something, drastic, have broken leg, arm, something around those lines. I agree with you.
Face Rob Vape in the chat says Rambling Rabbit does a run in
imagine that
Bray with a carrot.
Imagine that.
Fantastic. Digital Lizard, thank you for checking out. He says Undertaker debuted in 1990 on November 19, 1990. Never lost for a year, then beat Hogan at Survivor Series a year later, November 27, 91. So you see a full year of Taker before of Taker winning matches and scaring the shit out of people before putting a title on him.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, his first title reign was relatively short, but they still took their time with it. So I think the Fiend cannot not win. I think that's what has to happen. What do you think, Tony?
I have to think Fiend wins. I don't see any other way they could go this route unless, like you said, they stop the match because the Fiend does something wild to Seth Rollins.
And if they stop the match, it's stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. Why the hell would you stop a Hell in the Cell match? It shouldn't be stopped in the first place. I'm gonna go the Fiend, but I'm gonna go what you said, by stoppage. I think they stopped the fight.
Blech. I put that out into the universe. Now there's a chance for it to become true. Sorry, guys.
It's a great idea. It's not a great idea, but it's a great point of way to keep Rollins the champion, but make the Fiend look unbelievable tomorrow night.
Excuse me. So I usually like to wrap up these prediction shows by saying, so the pay-per-view tomorrow, what do you think? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? But I mean, there's 4 matches.
I'm just going to go with low expectations, because when I go to WWE pay-per-views with low expectations, usually they're pretty good. So I'm going to go with low expectations, not good tomorrow night.
You're going to be watching it live, yeah?
Yes, I will be watching it live. We'll be live tweeting, and we'll be live right afterwards. So if you guys want to talk wrestling after the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, jump over to Twitch.
Twitch, where on Twitch? Twitch is a big place.
Twitch.tv/GetTheTables. You just hit the search bar and hit Get the Tables right there. Easy. 1, 2, 3 will pop up, and we go live right afterwards. And we're very interactive with the chat room, so we try to touch on everyone's opinions on what you guys thought of the show. So if you guys want to talk Hell in a Cell with us, jump over to Twitch afterwards and hang out with us.
There you go. And otherwise, you can also follow Tony on Twitter at GetDaTables, not the
sir
tables. Always asking people for their thoughts on all sorts of stuff with light tubes and people lighting themselves on fire and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. That's it became a little bit of a popular thing.
Sure.
Putting on, what are your thoughts when you put on these death matches? And it's more about seeing the comments from people. They're pretty funny.
Yeah, no doubt.
They're pretty funny.
Absolutely. And I mean, different strokes for different folks, really.
Absolutely.
Vaporaz Vape in the chat, who and by the way, thank you, Ross, as we were doing this, he joined my Patreon, and I appreciate that.
Hey, there you go.
He was saying earlier that this is such a fantastic time to be a wrestling fan. And I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid. I've been through it all in the 90s, the entire Monday Night Wars thing. There has never been a better time to be a fan, to find what you like and wrestling that is to your taste. You don't have to put up with anything that you don't like. You can really just focus, laser focus on stuff that you dig, and just cut out the noise. Everyone has a streaming service or close to. It's just a magnificent time to
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Enjoy wrestling.
If you have all types of wrestling that you can watch now. If you like light bulbs, like you said, you can go to Fight TV and check out their stuff that they usually have. If you like, WWE, you got that. AEW, NXT, you got Impact, you have MLW, you have all types of wrestling organizations. New Japan, yes, as well. You have, you can watch. I can't believe I'm going to say it. There's too much wrestling. It's a really good time to be a wrestling fan. Just like you said.
Because Digital Lizard, and we're gonna. This will be the last comment of the night in the chat, says wrestling in 2019, more to complain about.
Yeah. Yes.
Tony,
that's perfect.
Absolutely. Tony, I want to thank you so much for taking the time on your Saturday morning to join me. I know you even got your family to get the hell out of the house while you were doing this.
Yeah, I kicked them out.
So
here.
You can send the Starbucks bill to me. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was a great time. And you guys go check him out on Twitter and on twitch.tv/getthetables. It is a fun place to go listen to wrestling and chat about wrestling. The guys do a fantastic job. And I want to thank everyone for joining us here as well on this Saturday morning to talk about Hell in a Cell. Hopefully the card grows until tomorrow. Maybe we're in for some surprises. We don't know, but that's happening tomorrow. So we'll be around to talk about that. Tony and I on Twitter, social media. You can find me at youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. If you liked what you saw.
And I want to thank you before you wrap it up for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. I know we were supposed to have this happen a couple of months ago and just stuff went wrong. And I really do appreciate you keeping your word and having me on the show. I really do appreciate that. And I hope we can do this again sometime.
Sure thing, man. It's been a pleasure to have you. Make sure to follow me on right here on YouTube, on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. If you haven't subscribed, why don't you? Give the video a like if you liked what you saw. I have a Patreon over at patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes, where there's all sorts of extra content popping up there. And of course on Twitter at MrWarrenHayes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. And I'll see you next time.